Hey everyone, this is James from TDB bringing on another Inbetweenisode. Today I am side-by-siding a couple big Wistaria heavy hitters, two of my personal favorites. The 2003 Qingteng is on my right and the 2003 Zipin is on my left. So a little bit about these teas. The Qingteng is from Mengsong. It is a little bit of a smaller production than the Zipin, which is the Yiwu. Zipin is probably, at least in the West, the most famous Wistaria production, done by Yiwu over of the Wistaria Tea House, at the time at least. And it was particularly famous, I think, because of a Marshall blog post. Marshall is someone, unlike TDB, that doesn't shout out teas all the time. And so when he gives a recommendation, people tend to pay quite a bit of attention to it. And so I think that's one of the reasons why this one has been particularly well liked. But not that I'm a hater or anything, because I like it quite a bit too. I think it's a really, really nice tea. So yeah, a little bit about these teas too. There's no real point in buying these teas. They're somewhat distinct from one another. My experience with them is the Qingteng I got about 11 years ago or so when I traveled to Taiwan. The Zipin is from a split I did with a buddy about 5 years back. So I've had both of them stateside. And it's interesting because I did recently do a Zipin storage tasting, thanks to Seoul over and listening to Leaves. And the way that the kind of Wistaria house perfume note, if you had Wistaria tea direct from them, you'll definitely know that note. It has kind of gone away from these teas. And it's something you may not totally realize if you've had the teas and you drink them fairly regularly, as I do in the case of both of these teas. But that storage note definitely is something that is going to slowly dissipate over time. And so I think that's in general a good thing, and I think it's important for drinkers to be able to differentiate what is an actual storage note versus what is actually the tea talking here. So yeah, just a little bit more background on both of these teas. They were pressed by Six Famous Tea Mountains. That is a company, not the specific tea mountains. So there is confusingly actually Six Famous Tea Mountains, and then there's also the Six Famous Tea Mountains company. It's not a company you hear a whole lot about, and that's mostly because the quality dropped off very quickly. So in the early 2000s, the early 2000s, they had a little bit more of a better rep. And that's at this point that Wistaria went to them and sourced some of their Malcha and had them press it. Their reputation dropped off fairly quickly as we move into the mid-2000s, like more quickly than you would expect. So, for instance, I recently tried the 2002 and 2003 Six Famous Tea Mountains Yola teas, and it's quite striking how big of a quality difference there is between those two specific productions. So I haven't tasted them super thoroughly, but my experience generally tracks with that as well. And we think about how the puer industry was changing during this time period. Quantity was really getting ramped up by most different companies, to be honest, and quality as a result was oftentimes not kind of tracking in the same level, because when you need to produce more and more quantity, you're looking at lower quality leaves as you kind of expand out that net. Okay, so let's get into both of these teas. They are two favorites of mine. So one thing that's definitely true is when you have tea, the context matters quite a bit. So having them side by side like this is going to be a little bit of a different experience than if we just had them solo. I'm also not going to go back and forth between the two. I want to do two steeps on this guy and then the Qingteng, and then move over to the Zipin after that. Okay. So here we go. Just keeping the steeps nice and short. I did do a couple steeps on both of these beforehand. Lots of sugary notes coming off of that. Cheers. Resinous. It's interesting to see how this tea has evolved. I feel like I'd treat this tea a little bit differently if I had it just on its own. it's being reduced to a little simpler. There's definitely a nice strain of bitterness that's still through this that makes me think that the tea is still in a pretty healthy spot. Lots of sweetness coming on too. Definitely a little bit of sweaty tea. I'm getting some nice mouth coating on the roof of my mouth. Do one more. Gonna push this just a little bit longer too. But I boiled that recently enough. All right. Let hang out for a second. So I think if you were to nitpick these teas, perhaps the one area to nitpick could be the longevity of them, which is not super long. That being said, I think they're really tasty while they go. There are also teas where I'm kind of curious what trajectory they might move towards. This Qingteng in particular, it's a Mengsong tea. I don't have a lot of Mengsong teas. I think we can sort of have some idea how a very straightforward profile like Oolong might age, and there's so much Yiwu circulating that we also have some idea how that might age as well. But the Mengsong, not really too much of an idea. It is kind of neighbors with a lot of those other Munghai County teas, so stuff like Oolong and whatnot. So that might give some idea, but still, yeah, cheers. A little bit of tartness coming into this too. So rather, it's just a little bitter, a little tart, very quick conversion. Nice body. Getting some notes of sugarcane and whatnot. It actually maintains some of those higher notes. Some throat coating, too. A little bit of those sappy, resinous notes as well. Yeah, I mean, I really like this tea. This has become a bit of a regular drinker for myself. Almost finished off the better part of a cake over the last decade, which seems like a slow pace, but if your rotation is as wide as mine is, that's a pretty decent pace. Okay, so I'm going to reboil this water, get some more water for that kettle, and move on to the Zipin. All right, moving back over to the Yiwu, the Zipin over here. Just did another steep here. This one might be a little light. This water is freshly boiled, so just going to do another steep while it is, well, I'm going to take some off first, actually. Make sure, okay, that water is hot. A little more of a woody, smoky aroma coming off of this one. I wouldn't say that it's incredibly smoky in the taste, though, but that has been a subject of constant debate, the smokiness of Zipin and how much is related to storage. Personally, I don't find the smokiness to be too important. It doesn't dominate this session or anything. I've tried quite a few versions of it, and it's never been super smoky for me. But it's definitely also more of kind of an old school Yiwu in that sense. We think about how Yiwu production has gone. It's very rare to find a Yiwu that's even remotely smoky these days. So I think one of the older videos I did on the Zipin talked about kind of old school Yiwu and stuff. And I've heard rumors that it might be some sort of an attempt at creating a tea in sort of the Big Green Tree style. That series of Yiwu cakes / non-oil cakes that were created in kind of the turn of the century. Anyways, here we go. Just something, it's nice to spend some time with the aftertaste too of the Qingteng, and it really is a lovely aftertaste. I like the aftertaste quite a bit. It's a tea with a lot of different depth, and it just really coats the roof of the mouth, the palate. I get some feeling into the throat as well. And it's also just a area that's a little different. It's not brash and rough as a Oolong is, but it's also not quite the same as Yiwu tea, too. So really enjoying that. Part of it is kind of the divergence from more of a standard profile, too. Cheers. I'd say that there's more upfrontness with this tea. There's good resin. There's just good body. It's not, this is a Yiwu, like we talked about, like the Zhenren Yufeng, which is a tea that has like a lot of different intangibles, but maybe a little bit less up forward with taste. There's a lot of taste going on here. So I think you can appreciate this tea for kind of the more subtle things it does, but it also is just a tasty tea. Yeah, so I'm hitting the tea hard enough that there is still a strain of bitterness to this, but it really converts very quickly, and it has that very complex, well, not very complex, but that nice Yiwu aftertaste that gets the throat. I can feel a lot of activity kind of in my throat, and it's definitely possible to get the aftertaste a little muddled having teas like this, but I can tell that these are both high-quality teas. I would say for this session, actually, that the Zipin stands out a little bit more, just in terms of being more of a complete tea. I think perhaps that's because of the singularity of something like a Qingteng, where it's a little, I don't know, it does some stuff very well, but it feels closer to, it feels a little bit less of a blend, perhaps, than the Zipin does. Whereas the Zipin is a little more well-rounded. Lots of woody notes. Just a little bit of smoke in that background. Just lots of good body, just almost chewy substance to it. Just lots of substance to this. The aftertaste hits the main mouth, but it also gets kind of that Yiwu throatiness to it too. Still lots of juice left in both of these teas, even though we're on something like the 5th steep for both of them. Interesting. Yeah, it's good. These are both solid teas. I would say this one is pretty constant, steep in, steep out, presenting very similar in both of those teas, whereas the Qingteng is a little more varied, definitely a little bit more of a particular tea. Okay, so that just about concludes this episode. Let me know how you like both these teas. These are both they're both just great drinks. They go down easy. They're smooth enough. I think it represents a lot of what I really like about kind of more of the specialized, smaller operations of Pu'er. So thank you all for tuning in. I will see you all next time. Cheers.